Hey everyone, Jim Carter here, and today in this lesson I want to teach you about the basics of domain names and starting to get into the configurations about how you really start to put it all together. Now, there are so many different ways that this can happen. It will be different for different what's called registrars. And the registrars is simply the website in which you registered your domain name. So if you're using GoDaddy, it'll be slightly different. If you're using Network Solutions, it'll be slightly different. But a lot of the core concepts are identical, and they may offer the same thing that I'm going to run through. This might just be named something a little different. So for our example, we're actually going to be using my favorite registrar, which is namecheap.com. And in a past video, I showed you how to actually go through the process of registering a domain. So in this case, I'm just looking at Namecheap's options for how they allow you to work with domains. Now, in this more basic video, we're using their options. However, in the more advanced videos, we're actually going to take over all those options and we're going to take full control so we have all of the ability to move things where we want and optimize them how we want. And at that point, we're in control. Right now, we're just letting them be in control to keep everything simple. And control isn't a bad thing here. They're actually putting some really good technology behind it for us. So not only do we not have to pay for it, but we don't have to maintain it and worry about it. So in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about some key things that Namecheap lets us do, which is one, we're going to talk about how to utilize them to redirect our what's called top level domain. That means an xyz.com as a top level domain. We're going to talk about how to do an email forward, right? So you don't have to set up email yet. You can just say if anybody emails you at jim@yourdomain.com, that it'll forward to your Gmail account, like the one that we just set up, or something that you just have already. And then we're going to talk a little bit about DNS, the domain name system, domain name servers, what that means and how to start to take advantage of that. And we're just going to run through some sample configurations. So let's jump right in. Now, I'm nowhere special here for Namecheap. When you go to your dashboard or your domain list, I simply just clicked in to the domain name that we registered in our past video, and that's Coffee Shop Tech. Also in a past video, you saw that we put together a simple Google site. What we're actually going to do when we get right into it is we're going to redirect our custom domain to our Google site. So first off, we're just going to look through some of these options here. It's always talking about the status, just making sure you know that it's fully available domain. We do want that WhoisGuard protection, and both of these are great to be on auto renew so we don't have to think about it. You don't need to worry about the premium DNS. Again, there are a lot of upsells. A lot of these companies, unfortunately, it's a race to the bottom. They're trying to get as many things to you for as cheap as they can. It's not about the quality. For them, it's about the quantity. They're selling thousands, tens of thousands of these domains a day. So they're trying to incrementally offer these different products. There's nothing wrong with the products, but I'm going to show you my favorite ways to do it so I can stand behind that and I can show you the ways that I love to configure it for really good success. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to be using we're going to be working with what's called name servers today. Now, name servers are they're the records on the domain name that identify what action should be taken. So when we work with what's called DNS and these name servers, an analogy, a way to think about it, is it's kind of like the men and women that are inside air traffic control at an airport. If they have no directives, if they don't know where any of the planes are, they're not able to actually talk to them and give them instructions about what to happen. But as soon as they're aware of the flight plans, as soon as they're aware of the changes of the order of operations, they're able to play air traffic control routing game, and they can say this plane needs to go here, that plane needs to go there, this plane is landing, now it's off the grid, we have another plane that's coming up. So you can kind of think of name servers in this DNS system as air traffic control. If you give it no information, then when you type in your domain name, it doesn't think that there's any planes in the air. There's nothing to do. However, when you do give it some information, then it says, oh, okay, if somebody types in www, then I want that domain to go here. If somebody types in news.yourdomain, I want it to go there. If somebody wants to send me an email at my domain, then I want the email to go here. And that's kind of the mindset that I want you to be in when we're walking through this. Now, to take that step back though, we're not going to do all that yet. This is a basics video. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow Namecheap to manage email goes here, domain goes here, and everything else. And what we're going to do is we're just going to simply work with a domain redirection. So you can see right here, it's saying the source URL is if somebody types in just coffeeshoptech.com, we want them to redirect to http://www.coffeeshoptech.com. Now, there's a thing with the web these days where back in the day, everybody used www because it was an identifier of this is the World Wide Web. This is the website that people needed to go to. Nowadays, we really don't use www as much. So this is more or less a simple template to say, if somebody doesn't type in www, then we just want them to go there, and that'll be the final resting place. We're going to simplify all that in this example, and I'll create a video that talks about that in depth as well. Additionally, this is where you can set up an email redirect. So with an email redirect, again, you can add a forwarder. If somebody emails you your name at your domain, we want it to simply go to your Gmail address. And the last thing I want to show you is around this advanced DNS. And again, we're going to run through and do these examples in just a minute. I just want to present these options for you. This is where it starts to get into that air traffic control part that I was talking about. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed here. This is where I just want to show you, and we're going to dive into this in a further video. Now, if you happen to have a Shopify, Weebly, or Wix site that you're working towards, what's nice is Namecheap has a template, so you can just click on it and it'll automatically populate all that information that you need. But in this case, what we're talking about are these host records. So you can see here parkingpage.namecheap, parking meaning you've parked your domain name with them. So it's starting to make some sense. You've parked your name with them. When there's a URL redirect record, that's a friendly way of them trying to simplify all the tech terms. It's saying that it's going to move it here and it's unmasked, right? A lot of different options, but really what we're talking about is while we're hosting our domain with them, this is how they're going to control the whole flow. So I just want to show you a couple different records that you're going to need to know as you start to put things together. Now there are a lot in here, but we're just going to talk about a couple. The A record is what's just considered a pointer record. So an A is like if you typed in www.something, this is where you can put in what's called an IP address. So if you're ever given a numeric value, for example, 192.168.1.1, then you would use an A record. You would click here, you would say www, for example, and then you would type it in, or you would copy and paste it, something like that. If you are ever given like another domain that you want to forward something to, you would use what's called a CNAME record. And in that case, it would be something like my server, if I can spell it right, .hosting.com, something along those lines. And the last thing I just want to tell you that you may be using in the future is what's called a text record. And we're absolutely going to be using this as well as we start to configure things more. And a text record is typically how a third-party service will validate that you own this domain. And it's going to be very simple, very similar. It'll have some kind of a key here, and if you're ever just told to use the main domain, you'll use an @, and then they'll give you all this information that you can paste in. So that's as technical as we're going to get in this video, but I just want to touch on why that's important. Because again, these records are the ways that air traffic control knows how to point which plane in which way to go. All right, so let's simplify everything back down and go right back to the domain. We're actually just going to set this all up right now. So right now, if you type in Coffee Shop Tech, it's redirecting you to this URL. Now we set up a Google site just a little bit ago, and this is our actual site. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in a new URL, and you can see here this is our published Google site, totally open, totally free for the public to get to. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to replace this. And then I'm going to add one more redirect. And instead of just doing Coffee Shop Tech, I'm also going to type www, right? Because we just want to catch all of the different variations. Now again, they also offer it where you can do a wildcard redirect. If you type anything around this domain, then I want you to just take it here. And just for fun, we're actually going to add that as well for right now. And then you can go back and you can clean these up. I just want to show you the different ways that they offer it. So this process takes just a minute to propagate. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause and come right back as soon as it's ready, and we'll look at it together. Okay, and we're back. So it just took a few minutes and now everything is ready. So if we come here and we open a new website, we can go to coffeeshoptech.com and you'll see that it automatically redirects to your Google site. Now, really, we can be done here. We can start telling people, go to my custom domain, and it's going to take them to their Google site, which is fantastic. In a further video, we're going to actually start to put it all together where you can host the entire domain under your custom domain. But again, we're going step by step just to make sure that you know that you don't have to put a lot of extra tech work in to have something really special. Now, the last thing I want to show you in this example, this is our last custom configuration, is the redirect. So again, you can add individual name at your domain and where it forwards to, or you can just do a catch-all. So in this case, I'm just going to do a catch-all. So no matter what anybody emails at this domain, I want it to go to techhobby1000@gmail.com because that was the Gmail account that we set up here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And again, this may take a little bit longer. This may take up to an hour for this change to propagate. I don't have to give you a demo of this. You know how email works. But in this case now, I can simply start saying, go to my website, and it'll load my website, and email me at my domain, and it'll go back to me. And again, in 10 or so minutes, even with all of the extra banter that I gave you, this is the ability for you to understand how simple it can be to start really personalizing something and using all of these really cheap, really free tools to just start getting the word out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and in the coming videos, we're really going to take control of this process. And again, it's not a requirement, but it's something that you can choose to do if you want to. And I want to take you every step of the way so you know you've got these options. You can find me at my website, jimcarter.me. You can also find me on all the socials at CauseHacker. Please let me know if this video resonated with you, if it's helping you. And if we missed anything, I'd be happy to create another one and just make sure that we cover all of the important things that you need to know. Thanks so much, and I look forward to talking to you soon.